Student, today's topic is Hegel on state. How Hegel described the origin of state, what is the nature of state, and what for state is here means prevailing. So in my earlier video I already told about that any evolution happens only because of the dialectic, that is the contradiction between or friction between thesis antithesis, and the newer creation is that synthesis. And state is created out of the interest. State is a manifestation of God's will. It's a divine entity, and state comes a bit later. First, because of human desire, because Aristotle means similar to Aristotle, Hegel also told that man is social and political animal. So man can't live alone, and as he can't live alone, because of several desires, maybe biological, maybe psychological, because the thing is that because of desire to live together, man created family. The family is the first institution created because of the interest to have someone who can fulfill the desire, maybe the biological, maybe psychological. So now family is created. So everything to Hegel, it is the manifestation of mind or consciousness. So if Chetonar Vikash means in heart I'm wanting something, I'm really demanding something, and because of my demand, because of my own desire, I act accordingly. And as man is very much human in nature, very much social in nature, very much political in nature, and can't live alone, man created family to have someone very close who can mitigate or fulfill the desire, maybe psychological, maybe biological. So this is the basis of family, and it is the starting point of the creation of state, because everything that is in our society, it is the manifestation of human mind or the God's will, because mind is the reflection of God's will and divine entity. So mind, whatever any negativity he hadn't comply, but the wish for having someone to be very close, this is a kind of desire which ultimately brought or ultimately can bring the material kind of substance. So first is the family in that society, and after that, when a child or someone starts bringing up and brought up in a family, then another requirement started, like to have that company, to have a very outer kind of professional world or any other thing. Because of this, men entered into that civil society, that is a bourgeois society. So in civil society there are several groups of business group, then professional groups, then peer groups. So these groups are within that periphery of civil society. So civil society is the secondary one. So how secondary this civil society came? Because of the desire. The first desire was to have someone very close. The men created family. Now family, more than requirement is required, that family is not enough to complete all the desires, all the happiness and all. Because of that, men created another outer world, various groups where they can get that satisfaction. So friendship is a kind of satisfaction. Then having a very good profession, it is also a satisfaction. There are very several issues of satisfaction, and out to get that kind of satisfaction or to fulfill that kind of desire, may enter into the outer world from the family, that is the civil society. So here is also the development on the basis of thesis, antithesis and synthesis. The thesis was family, the desire for the having the fulfillment of other wishes, that is the antithesis, and finally civil society created. So now both of them are having, means family is also there, then other groups are also there. So family is still prevailing along with the other groups of human being. State, but it is not the ultimate one. So ultimate kya hai? The more next is that ultimate is the state, but state is also created. So civil society is not at all civil society where men started thinking about others, men concerned about the others freedom, others liberty, others enjoyment and right, and the fulfillment of personality and the development of personality. So all these are there, and then civil society actually was in need to have a controlling authority, because if everyone's liberty, everyone's right has to be secured, then there should be a kind of authority which can control the behavior, so that no one can enter into the other field crossing own limit. So this is there, and out of that evolution of mind, that human mind desire for a authority, controlling authority, and that's why it is there. Means state entered into the field, and state to Hegel, it is the final evolution of human society. State is self-conscious, state is divine, state is the wish of God, rather in Hegel's word, march of God on earth. State is willing to do the welfare of the people. State is something where people can get the ultimate kind of development of personality. He believes that no person can have liberty or freedom if there is no state. So before state, whatever kind of freedom was there, that is not ultimate. The ultimate freedom can be enjoyed under the purview of a state. So state has to be there, and the wish of the state and the wish of the people are not different. People want also to have a good personality, the development of own personality and faculty, and state also similarly working for that. The aim of the state is to do that welfare of the people. So welfare means the fulfill development or complete development of personality, and it is the wisdom which is behind the state. So whether there is no wisdom, there can't be any state. So state is the wisdom is the very basic of state, and state and the state's will and the people's will are the same. And if someone is forcing, means state is using the force, police force or any kind of armed force, then also it is the people wills. Because if someone entering into the other people's interfering in other people's work areas, then it has to be restrained. It has to be controlled by some other means. Then the state is actually using that police force or any armed force. So it is also the wish of the people. So this kind of will of the people is actually, the will comes from the God's good will. God can't be bad. Bad is absence of good, and the people who are not obeying the state, the people who are not obeying the law, people who are not actually abiding the acts are not the good one. And it is the task of the state to establish the will of the good, and good is actually the will of the God. So now he actually discussed, and with that entity of God along with the state and made it very clear that state is divine. But to me, Hegel's intention was to show state as sovereign, state as boundless, supreme authority, and state should have the kind of obligation, overwhelming obligation from the population. That people should habitually be obedient of the state's will. So this is there. And now the character of the state is sovereign, supreme, lawmaking authority, and the controlling authority who is at the top. And state can't be, state is end in itself. There is no other end. State is end in itself. And basic of the state is wisdom. State is the source of freedom. No freedom can't exist without state. And society and state are actually in the same way. So this is the way Hegel presented state and described what are the tasks of states. But you also have to be very clear that Hegel's theory of state is not free from criticism. There are so many critics on that issue, and they propounded the thing that Hegel belongs to the duality character. Sometimes he focused on that spirituality, sometimes empiricism, sometimes state and individual is taken as similar, then the freedom, and also talking about the freedom. So how can it be? If the state is mixed, means being mixed with that individual, so individual's freedom then vanish. So while talking about this contradiction or contradictory topics, Hegel criticized huge. But you have to be very clear that this criticization is nominal, because yes, it is true the state is only the controlling authority, and if the state is good, then only people can enjoy the freedom. If the state is not doing good or well, then people can't enjoy the freedom. And it is the state interest or simply the mind of the people who or the which actually wanted the state formation. And state is there because of the human wish. Human mind developed human wanted to have that authority, and because of that state is there. And state obligation is something like obligation towards God. God को जैसे मानना है, state को भी ऐसे ही मानना है. Until and unless we are obeying and having that kind of obligation, state cannot perform fully. And if the state is not performing fully, then enjoyment of the freedom can't be happen. So objective of the state was to provide liberty, freedom, and enjoyment of the right, and the fulfillment and providing every environment to have a good personality. So if this is the objective and something is created, the authority is created, now authority has to be in full form. Authority should be in the position where it can use its own wish. This is the wisdom. And then only the people can enjoy freedom, liberty, and a prosperous personality and a very good mind. So this is Hegel's notion about state. If you have any question, put on that comment section, and if you want more clarification, you call me, I can explain. And if you want to go through the book, then you go through Bengali medium students Subhasham, or English medium hole there are several books. Sushila Mukherjee and Ramosham is my concern is the best book, so you can go through. And JSTOR and Google is there, so you can anytime go through that. Hegel is very common topic, so ideology of Hegel is not so tough task to get from net. So but my request would be, if you face any problem, you call me, clear the idea, because thought you have to be very clear. अदरवाइज तुम उसको प्रेजेंट नहीं कर पाओगे. तुमको मतलब हेगल का माइंड समझना है और उसके बाद उसको प्रेजेंट करना है. तो if you are not understanding the mind of the thinker, you cannot present it very logically. So you have to grasp the meaning, you have to catch the realm and the notion of the theory. So this is it, and next video will be on that. So government as perceived by Hegel. Thank you for watching.